What's up, everybody? My name is Michael, or Kiratze online. Hopefully you guys are having a great day as usual, and I'm here with my very first episode of Decking Around for Eternal. And if you guys have been with me for a while now, you'll probably recognize the name of this YouTube series is because I started this series back when I was playing Duelist, and I had a lot of positive feedback from that community for this series, and I wanted to bring it over to Eternal because Eternal is easily one of the best CCGs I've played, and I've fallen in love with it. Can't get enough of it. It's a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to growing this community and making more content for this community because I love it. It's an amazing game. As someone who got his start with CCGs mainly in Magic the Gathering and has a huge love of deck building, I really love what Eternal is doing, and I'm really looking forward to this game growing, and hopefully videos like this can help it grow. If for those of you who guys are new to the channel, I am going to be posting this to this Eternal subreddit, so hello to you all on the Eternal subreddit. I lurk there quite frequently, and I'm looking forward to posting these videos to there. I haven't been playing too long. I'll just do a little bit of an introduction, I guess, as well for this first episode. This first episode is probably going to be a little bit longer than normal just because I'm going to be doing a little bit of an introduction here. But I'm Kiratze. I have a lot of experience in just deck building in general. I've never prided myself on being just a top-tier competitive player, so if you're looking for top-tier play, probably not the best place for you, especially considering I've only been playing this game for a week. But I do pride myself on being a very fun deck builder. I can have some pretty unique takes on things. When I was doing Magic the Gathering content, for those of you who have been there since that time, because that was years ago, I did content creation for roguedeckbuilder.com, which is a pretty awesome Magic the Gathering website, and I even created decks and then showcased them and wrote articles on them for gatheringmagic.com, which is one of the most popular Magic the Gathering websites out there. So I'm really fortunate enough to do things like that, and I also was pretty successful in building some fun decks in Elysian for Duelist that a lot of people enjoyed playing, and I hope to do the same in Eternal because the deck building possibilities in Eternal are much better than a lot of the other CCGs I've played just due to the nature of it being more akin to Magic the Gathering, which is why I've fallen in love with it. So I'm really looking forward to bringing this series over here. I will be streaming this game as well, by the way. I have already started streaming this game. If you look down in the description below, my Twitch channel is there, as well as my Discord channel. I would really appreciate you checking out both, mainly my Discord channel and my Twitch channel, just because I do most of my content just on Twitch. You know, I'm a variety streamer, but I will be using Eternal as a consistent game to stream. And then my Discord channel is a great way for me to get to know you guys, as well as bounce deck ideas off you guys. I have created my own separate channel for Eternal discussion in my Discord chat. So if you want to check that out, and you can talk in there, and I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as I can. I'm on there quite frequently. But enough shameless plugging. So what is Decking Around? So Decking Around is a series I started in Duelist, like I said, and the whole goal of it was to sort of create a behind-the-scenes video. So these videos are normally going to be longer. They're like behind-the-scenes deck tech videos, I guess is the best way to put it. So normally there's a lot of deck tech videos for CCGs. That's awesome, being able to showcase your deck and talk about it. Now, what I noticed is no one really had a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff when I was playing Duelist. I'm not sure if that's the case for Eternal, but unless you're watching someone live on Twitch, like me, you're not going to be able to see someone live build a deck for the very first time. So Decking Around was a way for me to create some deck building content for YouTube and still sort of showcase that process. So how this series works is each episode will always have two different videos. The first video will be the deck building video, and then the second video will be the gameplay portion of the episode. So rather than just having a finalized, vetted draft or version and talking about sort of the deck in like a 10 to 15 minute video, what I do with this series is if I have a deck idea, I'm just going to hit the record button. If I have a synergy I want to build around, or a synergy I saw that I want to do my own take on, or a card I saw that I want to build around, I'm just going to hit the record button. And we're going to go from there. I'm going to show the whole process of how I built that deck, what I think of each card that goes into it, what I consider, what synergies I might consider. And through this, what I hope is, and what I hoped for when I did it with Duelist, is that it just spreads deck ideas. I love deck building. That's just why I play CCGs, and to share those deck ideas with you guys is great, because the more eyes on a certain idea, the more ways people can maybe do their own spin on it. And with as many possibilities as there will be with Eternal, especially once they add more cards in, I'm hoping that people can create their own decks and send them to me, and I really love taking a look at other people's deck ideas and things like that. So it's almost a community type thing as well. We can even just sort of almost build decks together, because after I'm done doing the deck building episode, you guys can list in the comments, what you guys would have done. And after the gameplay portion, where I'll play about 2 to 3 games with the deck just to sort of see as a first impressions how the deck will run, we'll have a little bit of a discussion. I'll sort of critique it and say, okay, did this idea even work? Is the idea sound? Can we build on it? What can we take out to make it work better? Things like that, because I do want to make the decks as best as they can be, even if they will be a little more gimmicky at some points. But overall, I do just mainly like taking different archetypes and throwing them in different factions, trying to take new spins on things, and that's what we're going to do today. So let's get started. I know I apologize for the introduction, but a lot of you guys are going to be new to the channel, so I hope I wanted to at least do some sort of introduction. So more future episodes will be a lot shorter than this, because we'll be able to get straight into the action. But anyways, the card I want to build around today, or at least the idea I want to build around today, is this guy. A lot of you guys might be shaking your head. I don't know. I'm not great at evaluating cards a lot of the time, especially when it comes to a new game that I don't have a ton of experience in. I've only been playing this game for about a week. False Prince I love. Now, I love overly statted stuff. I love things where you get efficient stats for its cost, or overpowered stats for its cost. Obviously, False Prince is overpowered if you just took away its drawback. A 5/5 with Overwhelm for 3 mana? Oh my god, that'd be insane. But because of its downside, it is much more bearable. Now, even with its downside, I think it's a really good card, and I think it's a card to explore, because it does a lot for what we're going to build, which is a sort of a beatdown deck, which is another reason I wanted to make this deck, is because I haven't really seen any Elysian beatdown decks. I've seen a lot of Elysian with like purple for control and just slower Elysian decks like ramp decks, but really I've never seen any beatdown decks. The only beatdown decks I've come across have been Combre, Ricano, Pants type of decks, and obviously like Stone Scar aggro. Our aggro deck is not going to be full on aggro. I think you would akin it to more being like a tempo style deck. So we're going to try to have big swings in tempo. We're going to be able to pressure our opponent and maybe even take back their tempo to give it to ourselves. We're going to be just trying to create as much tempo as we can, and through that, just out-pressure our opponent, hopefully with cards like False Prince, which is a really great card. The fact that it has Overwhelm is amazing, because especially when you play False Prince and your opponent is trying to chump block with stuff, because we're not going to be flooding the board with a lot of smaller creatures and then buffing them up. We're just going to be relying on big threats beating down our opponent. So this is going to be like I said, an Elysian beatdown deck, not just an Elysian aggro deck. So with False Prince, you're not only getting a good creature, you're getting bait removal, which can protect your other creatures down the road. And a lot of the time, False Prince can also dodge some removal. Like, it even dodges stuff like Suffocate, dodges stuff like Annihilate, which is pretty cool. And obviously, it opens up the door for some other cards to have removal, like Torch, for example, is removal for False Prince. One minor thing with Vanquish is if your opponent targets us with Vanquish, you actually come out ahead. Well, not ahead, but you come out more than you would have if you normally would just have a big creature, because you would be left with a 1/1 frog, because when Vanquish targets False Prince, it will turn into a 1/1 frog, but it won't resolve, because obviously the 1/1 frog doesn't have 4 attack, which I think is going to be pretty funny if we come across that. But it does draw removal. I mean, and it's a win-win. If you're playing False Prince and they 1/1 removal you at this early in the game, unless it's Torch, probably, obviously, in the faster aggro decks, you're looking at just being ahead just in terms of tempo. Like, they're going to have to, they've probably put their turn on hold, where they normally might have played a creature. They would have to spend removal on False Prince, which allows you to keep playing bigger threats and just keep pressuring your opponent. If they don't have the removal, well, they're trying to deal with a 5/5 overwhelm creature this early in the game, which is not very easy to do. So I really like False Prince. I like it a lot, and I think it fits exactly what we need in a beatdown style deck. I think with cards like Twinning as well, we can have some fun things, because False Prince, even though you can't target it with spells, so you can't buff it directly with things like Accelerated Evolution, for example, you can actually still target it in your hand with something like Twinning, because it doesn't exactly target it as a spell. It just says draw a copy of a unit. So the only reason you're selecting it is to select it to draw it. And then making it into a 6/6 with Overwhelm for 3 mana, Oh boy, that's pretty good value right there. So I think twinning can get us a lot of value just to create more copies of False Prince, which are just inherently awkward to deal with for our opponent. Most of the time, obviously. It also doesn't get hit by stuff like Lightning Storm, which is really, really nice. So Lightning Storm, even though it is a spell that hits False Prince, it doesn't target False Prince directly. So it actually dodges that, which is nice. So I like twinning. I think what else should we add? I think we should add Stormlinks. I mean, it's just a solid 2-drop for an Elysian style deck. It's like normally you would probably play something like what's it called? Bold Adventure, but the fact that this has Ambush is really, really nice. So we'll include Stormlinks. It can catch aggro decks off guard, which is really, really nice. It has pseudo charge for control decks, so if they wipe our board, we're able to still have a threat at the end of the turn to keep pressuring them. Yeah, I think it's just a really, really great card. I like it a lot. Obviously, including all of the dual powers. Do we want any other multicolored cards? Oh, I want to play with this card. Another overly statted card for its cost. Love it. Exactly what we want. It has Overwhelm. Amazing. We're gonna like have an Overwhelm theme here almost, I think. I like its ability too. I crafted Surzo because it just seemed like a fun card to play around with. And again, like I said, I love overly statted creatures for their cost. So I think Surzo fits perfectly in our game plan because it's at 5 cost. It's low enough that it's not like super cost heavy. It's not like a 6 or 7 drop like bomb, but it's still a bomb in and of itself. So I think it's great. It still creates a lot of pressure. I like it. Testing Avasaur, I don't think we're going to have too many synergies with that, so we'll leave that alone. So that does it for the multicolored stuff, I think. Let's look at our yellow first. Let's go through there and see what we want to add. I don't think we're going to need to Seek Power. We are going to stick to 2 colors, so I think we should be consistent enough in that. I think what we will run is Diplomatic Seal, though. Because in a aggressive deck, especially with some of our more aggressive influence requirements, like double time for False Prince or dual influence for Stormlinks, getting a time and a primal on turn 2. Diplomatic Seal is great for that. So I think that's going to work out really, really well. You want that more in an aggressive style deck, I'd assume. I don't know. Again, maybe I'm wrong. You guys can let me know in the comments if what I'm doing is absolutely wrong. What else can we add? So I like Copper Conduit. Of course, it has Overwhelm. Jeez, like I said, I guess we're going to inherently go with an Overwhelm theme. But I like Copper Conduit because in a deck like this, it can be sort of whatever we want it to be. If we want a 3/3 for 3 against the aggro decks to block, sure, it can be that. If we want a 6/6 for 6 with Overwhelm, sure, it can be a late game threat. It can sort of play both sides of the field. And if we do multiple things in a turn, we can still have a pretty decent sized threat in the late game. Yeah, I like it. I like that a lot. I don't think we'll need Sand Warrior, Excavate. I don't think we'll need. I don't know if that. I'm assuming that would trigger False Prince, which is what we don't want. We're not looking to ramp. Predator's Instinct might not be a bad idea, especially it's great with Surzo, but False Prince we can't use it with, so we'll hold off for now. We're gonna focus on the foundation first. We're gonna try and add some solid cards and go from there. Not Ephemeral Wisp, don't really have any interaction with that. Friendly Wisps though. Oh, I like that. Oh, that draws cards on curve. Because no one's really going to expect a 5/5 on turn 3 right after a Friendly Wisp. They're going to think, oh, well, I don't have to deal with that right now. It's only just a 1/1 in there. He's not going to be playing big threats till like 2 turns later. I can hold off on killing Friendly Wisp. But then the following turn, we can actually just trigger it right away and draw 2 cards, build a 5/5 with Overwhelm. Oh, that's beautiful. I like it. Oh, I love drawing cards. And it's nice that we get a body with it as well. Sweet. Sauropod Wrangler might not be a bad idea. Copper Conduit can also trigger Friendly Wisp later on in the game, and Surzo can trigger it as well. Sauropod Wrangler might not be a bad idea. Speeds up the deck a little bit. I don't think we're going to be playing such a high curve deck, though, so I don't think we'll need it. But, if we need a 2-drop, Sauropod Wrangler just helps our deck. Might not be a bad idea. Tyler's Favor, I think we'll be fine. I don't think we'll need super heavy influence fixing. I want a couple of teleports. Again, being a tempo style deck, we want to be able to effectively remove a big threat at the end of our opponent's turn and then be able to play our own threat. Creates a lot of pressure, and it also helps us push for damage in the late game as well. Being able to take out inconvenient threats that have like quick draw, or not quick draw, but like deadly or something like that, and keep pushing our damage through. It also makes, again, because we have so many creatures with Overwhelm, it actually is much better because it reduces the chance of us being able to, because you can't really chump block against a lot of our creatures. So reducing the amount of blockers they have available means that we can push more damage through with our Overwhelm effect. So I like that. A couple of teleports might not be a bad idea. Dawnwalker. Oh, that's beautiful too. That's great. False Prince is a cheap way to get Dawnwalkers back. Surzo triggers it. A late game Copper Conduit would trigger it. And even like twinning our Dawnwalker. Like this is a really annoying threat to deal with. So like oh man, this is just so much pressure. So Dawnwalker, oh my god, Dawnwalker has Overwhelm as well. Maybe I should I just call this deck Elysian? Yeah. Let's just call this deck Overwhelming Elysian. Why not? I like the sound of it. But twinning actually makes it so it's a 5/2, which is another way we can trigger Friendly Wisp. So that's good. Like twinning Dawnwalkers, that could be really annoying. Like having two Dawnwalkers, sure, even if they trade with stuff, we're coming out ahead once we play False Prince. Getting a 5/2 Dawnwalker back, maybe. Yeah, that's beautiful. I like it. I like it a lot. Attachments might not be too much of a problem. I might be worried a little bit more about relic weapons, but I think at the point, considering how much overwhelm stuff we have, we should be able to make them at least trade most of their board to protect their relic weapon, or we should be able to push damage through to destroy the relic weapon with our overwhelmed creatures, considering how aggressively statted their attack is. So I don't think we'll need to K. If they play a lot of stuff on one creature, like a Rakano Pants deck, for example, teleport actually makes the weapons fall off once they go back to their hand, so I shouldn't be too worried about that. We want at least a few Scorpion Wasps, maybe only 2. It's pretty much removal for us because we're not going to have, again, a lot of direct removal. We're not playing like Shadow or anything, so we have a lot of forms of pseudo removal, but we're not going to have access to like kill effects. So Scorpion Wasp is not only a way for us to deal with just big threats, but we're not going to have a lot of stuff to deal with in the air because we're not going to have a lot of flying creatures that can block. So Friendly Wasp is a nice way to answer things. Can catch our opponent off guard too. Ancient Lore might not be a bad idea. I think we're going to be playing Wisdom of the Elders though. And with Wisdom of the Elders and Friendly Wisp, that might be enough card draw. We'll see though. I like Praxis Displacer. Actually, because it goes pretty well in our curve, because we'll Friendly Wisp, maybe Dawnwalker or False Prince, and then False Prince actually will let us draw cards. So they'll probably play some creatures to try to protect themselves, or they'll be forced to use removal. But if they play creatures, we can keep a lot of pressure up and keep up tempo by removing their threat. So if they're using up all their mana to play a creature and we just deny them that turn, essentially, and then create a body at the same time, like that's a huge swing in tempo. And then it opens up the door for our False Prince or Dawnwalkers to push damage through. Like that's a lot of damage. And then it even curves out into Surzo as well. Like we can play a really sweet curve of creatures that have some pretty annoying effects. So I like Praxis Displacer a lot. Now I have a feeling we're going to be playing Lightning Storm though, so it does die to Lightning Storm, but I think that's all right. I think if we're playing Lightning Storm, we're not really going to be in the position to worry about Praxis Displacer dying. Elysian Pathfinder is really good when we're trying to just keep pressure on our opponent. If we're giving a lot of our big threats Echo, and we're and they're trying to fight 1-for-1 removal with us, we're going to come out ahead. Like having False Prince with Echo and then twinning that or something like that, it's like having repeated 6/6 or 5/5 creatures with Overwhelm for 3 mana, like pumping those out and being able to do other things at the same time, like teleport. I like that. I like that a lot. Like all of our threats were perfectly fine getting multiples of, like multiple Dawnwalkers. That's insane too. Filling up the board with Dawnwalkers, getting all of them back, even if we get AoE'd with False Prince or any of our other threats, that's huge. Any of this other stuff, we're not really flooding the board, so no Zetan Obelisk. Although the Praxis is pretty interesting. It's another way for us to get some card draw. We're not flooding the board, though. That's the thing. It does have some minor interaction with Dawnwalker. Being able to, if we trigger Dawnwalker, we get a trigger Praxis. But I think that's not going to happen as often as I want it to. It's not worth the tempo loss that we're going to be having. So I don't think we'll need that. I think we're going to have enough ways to draw cards. I think Predatory Carnosaur I actually like. Again, we're not going to be huge on kill spells, but it's another big threat that has a big swing in tempo. A 6/6 for 6 is perfectly reasonable, and the fact that it can remove something off the board once we play it as well, like that's a lot of pressure as well. Not to mention, it does clear the way for our other beatdown creatures to keep pressure up. It doesn't have Overwhelm, though. But, oh geez, how many creatures with Overwhelm do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Geez. Like, pretty much the first 4 creatures we put in had Overwhelm. My goodness. That's pretty funny, actually. Oh, let's add another Overwhelm creature. All right, let's look at blue cards. We're not looking at playing these endgame threats again. We're trying to keep our curve fairly low. We are inherently an aggro deck, but we get to have some tools to deal with. We get to have some tools to become the control deck if we need to. Permafrost isn't a bad idea. It's a cheap way to lock down something and to push damage through. Lightning Storm I want at least a couple of. Again, we're not going to be flooding the board, so being able to deal with token decks, token-based strategies, or just really cheap aggro decks is going to be our downfall if we let those get out of hand. So I think you need this card to keep it in check. Backlash might not be a bad idea because we want to protect our threats. Like we're not going to have a lot of threats, but those threats that we do have are going to be big, and we're going to want to protect them. So being able to protect them from like a harsh rule or something like that might be pretty good. That might be more to consider once we actually play with the deck and see how it works. Lightning Strike is a good way to just remove stuff. Again, kills off a lot of early threats. I think we can knock it out of 2, though. Flash Freeze is not bad. Locks down 2 units. Ice Sprite, similar to Permafrost, but has a body. Not a great body, though. It's not. I don't think it's worth doing. Mirror Image might not be a bad idea as well. It's another way to just create a lot more pressure. Predatory Carnosaur works great with it. Getting another killer trigger off. Praxis Displacer, get another bounce effect off. Copy of Dawnwalker is really good. We can't do a copy of False Prince, otherwise it's going to turn into a frog. I don't know if it's good enough. I think we can do some fun things with it, but I don't think we'll need it. Polymorph we'll definitely need. It's like the closest thing we have to actual removal. So that's something to consider. And it's actually much better in a deck like this because we can't get chump blocked as easy as other decks. So even though other decks may play big things, sometimes that 1/1 frog can still deny them all that damage. But with all of our Overwhelm creatures, that actually won't be a problem for us. Worst case scenario, we can also just kill it off with like Lightning Storm and then just push all of our damage through if we need to. We want some card draw. Wisdom of the Elders is great to keep pressure up, especially when you are 1-for-1ing removal with a control deck. You want to be able to just keep applying a pressure, so keep drawing into those big threats. So I think Wisdom of the Elders is great, especially considering it's a fast spell, so we can do it at the end of our opponent's turn. Drell's Frostkin's not a bad consideration. It doesn't die to Lightning Storm, but it sort of has the same effect of Praxis Displacer. I think I'd like Displacer more, though, because it does deal with weapons a little better. And also, it creates a lot more tempo, because like our opponent will still have that creature on the board. They won't have to expend that mana again. But Praxis Displacer forces them to actually have to play out that creature again. Now, we have to be careful, though, considering some of the effects that those creatures have, but I think that should be all right. Crystallize might not be a bad idea. It's a way to push all of our damage through. I don't think we're going to need to play any of this stuff. So, with that in mind, what are we looking at for mana? 16, 21, 25, 29. That's a little too much mana. We don't need all that mana. Let's drop that. Let's have 13, 17, 21, 20. I think 25 is fine. Yeah, 25 should be fine. Like we have a lot of 2/3 drops. We don't have a lot of later endgame drops. And a lot of those late game drops we're not just going to be playing just for the sake of it. Like Predatory Carnosaur, like there might be times where we just hold on to it to wait till they play something that's worth killing off so we can push the rest of our damage through. So what are we going to add in? So now we might add in some of that utility. Maybe that backlash. Maybe one backlash. Second Sight might not be a bad idea, but I don't think we'll need that. How many units do we have? 31? Yeah, that's plenty. Maybe a backlash and 2 permafrosts? Because permafrost is nice because again, it goes with sort of not having to expend a lot of mana to do a pretty big effect. Like, again, with how heavy attack our creatures are, we're not going to need a lot of turns to actually kill off our opponent. So just locking them down enough should be fine. Goes well at locking down like pants decks as well. Like if they buff up something early, it's nice to be able to lock that down earlier than having to wait for like a polymorph to come or having to wait until we can play our displacer to bounce that creature back. So I actually sort of like the double permafrost, and the backlash again I think is a situational card, but I think it's a necessary evil, especially when we are playing against Combray control decks or anything with like harsh rule or anything like that. We're not really too worried about Lightning Storm, because Lightning Storm, a lot of our creatures like False Prince are huge, or Dawnwalker is just awkward to get rid of. And if they Lightning Storm to get rid of Dawnwalker, that's a win for us, because then we can just play like False Prince or Surzo or any of our big threats, and then we can get that back. So we'll have the backlash to protect, as well as, gives a little bit of extra damage, and every single point of damage counts. So what about something like that? So that's 75 cards. 13, 17, 21, 25 mana. I think that should be fine. Maybe we want 26 mana. Maybe we want 26 mana. Just to be on the safe side, because we really want to be able to play things out on curve. And that now we have Dawnwalker as a dual time cost as well in the early game. Yeah, and we do want that time for Friendly Wisp as well. Like the early blue is mainly just for Stormlinks. And I guess False Prince, but like all these other blue cards are a little more situational, where we don't require the blue. We would rather have the yellow to play stuff a little more effectively on curve. So in that case, I think if we're going to be dealing with harsh rule, if they're forced to harsh rule just like a Dawnwalker and a False Prince, I actually don't think I would mind that, considering by that point we could probably just keep pressuring them with a lot of our other big threats. Yeah, I think we'll cut out the backlash. We'll put in an extra time sigil. 4, 8, 13 in the early game, 17 sources of blue. Yeah, I think we'll add in another time sigil. The time sigil is pretty important to us, so I think we'll do that. Oh, I could actually add in a Amber Monument. No, we don't want it depleted though. It does have the overwhelm though, so that's something to consider. Yeah. No. We'll keep it more consistent. We want the deck to be consistent in the early game. So that's the deck. I like it. I like the look of it. I like the feel of it. I like the little mini synergies we have, like the curve of Friendly Wisp into your False Prince is like, I don't think our opponent's gonna be wanting to deal with Friendly Wisp the turn it's played, and being able to pretty reliably probably get a 5/5 overwhelm off with drawing 2 cards. That's pretty damn good. I like it. I could maybe cut a Wisdom of the Elders and then just have another creature. Like maybe even like a 4th Predatory Carnosaur. Like I would probably want to craft another one of Surzo, but I just don't have enough Shift Stones. But I think in another life, there's some more effective cards. But this is what I have with the cards that I have available to me. If you guys have any other suggestions, feel free to let me know in the comments. Like if you guys have a more full collection than I do, let me know what you would add. Let me know what you would take out. I would love to hear your guys' ideas. I'm really looking forward to sharing deck ideas with you guys and having a little bit of a discussion going on, because I think, with how new Eternal is, a lot of things aren't explored enough, and I hopefully myself and along with you guys can help pioneer some fun little things, some fun little decks that hopefully people can take on their ladder and adjust them to their own liking. Because that's my whole goal, is to just spread the love of deck building. Get people to try out their own decks. You don't always have to play the best deck. Sometimes it's nice to just make something on your own and win with that. Sometimes it can be a little more fun. But next video will be me playing about 2 to 3 games with the deck, like I said before, and we'll see how the deck actually runs. Maybe it won't work at all. Maybe it'll actually be a success. Who knows? But until then, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys have a great night, day, or morning wherever you are, and I will talk to you guys soon.